Hey guys, this is Nephis here, and just like the VHRC video I did a while back, I'm going to be showing you endgame setups for your Sorc Healer slash DPS hybrid in Veteran Halls of Fabrication. Just like the VHRC setups, keep in mind that these setups are only to be used with a score pushing group, or at least an experienced group who don't need two healers in VHoF. So it's not very suitable for progression groups or so on. So let's get started. The first setup we're going to have is for the trash before boss 1. For trash for the boss 1, we're going to have 2-piece slime crawl, we're going to have burning spell weave, and we are going to have a Black Rose perfected lightning staff on the back bar. And our bar setups are going to look like this: crystal frags, force pulse, mage's wrath, volatile familiar, inner light with the meteor on the front bar. We have liquid lightning, we have shock ring, we have wall, we have again the scam because we need it in both bars to activate it and keep it active, and channel acceleration. Your goal basically here is just to be another DPS, just another cog in the machine. You don't have to heal or anything. You shouldn't really need to heal the trash before boss 1 in VHoF because there isn't too much damage going on as long as the spheres are getting bashed and no one stands in front of the Kigutis. And that is pretty much it. Now keep in mind, one special thing I'd like to add with the Black Rose Perfected Staff, they are bugged at the moment, as far as I know, because if you have more than one staff active in the group, only one will get the benefit of the Wild Impulse set. So if you have Magicka DPS in your group using it for trash, you probably don't want to run it as a Sorc Healer. You probably want to run a Maelstrom Lightning Staff. And a key thing here, depending on how fast your group is, you will use Thunderous Rage, the Destro ulti for Lightning Staff, for one of the first two sphere waves before boss 1, the big pulls. And that's pretty much it. And you continue with this until the first boss. The boss 1 setup for VHoF for a Sorc Healer slash DPS hybrid is going to look like this. Now, the second skill here is going to look a little optional, so I'm going to go over that later. Gear set wise, we're going to have 2-piece Bogdan, 5-piece IA, we're going to have 5-piece Jorvold, 3-piece Jorvold on the body, and Jorvold Lightning Staff on the front bar, or back bar technically. And you want to put Horn on here because it does buff your Horn duration, rather your Major Force duration, from 9.5 seconds to 12.6 seconds. A lot of people are confused about the Jorvolds. It does not extend the duration of debuffs. It only extends the duration of major buffs, minor buffs, and damage shields. So if you're thinking, oh, it must boost IA, no, it does not boost IA duration. It only boosts the buffs. And your other 5-piece set, of course, IA, and I prefer to master Resto still after all these years on the Resto staff bar. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you're going in as a Sorc DPS slash healer spec, you're not gonna, have a lot of leeway in terms of having a proper balance. So basically, you're gonna be more of a DPS than a healer. So for the setup, we're gonna have 3-piece infuse on jewelry traits to boost your magic recovery, as we are going to be a Breton max work with the Thief Mundus. We do not have the Atro Mundus because the Thief is gonna help with both your DPS and your healing. We don't want the Shadow because, well, again, your primary job is to DPS, but at the same time, it's not. It's to support. It's to give your group more damage boost, and also you're still a healer. You have to keep that in mind. It's kind of a hard concept to grasp at first, but it's pretty fun to play. It's very, very fun to play. But yeah, you want 3 infuse, and you want the enchants to be Magicka Reco, and this is actually gonna be more than sufficient. You're gonna have over 3,000 Magicka Recovery unbuffed. And if you are on your Resto staff bar with the berry as the ultimate, more on that later, you're going to have this much, which is pretty insane. It's enough to sustain the purges and the healing springs during the first boss, if your group is going to be burning boss 1, which you obviously will if you're going with this setup and going for a score and trying to finish boss 1 as quickly as possible. Bar setup wise, we're going to have Elemental Drain, Inner Fire. Now this is only if you have another tank, specifically the off tank, that's going to horn for the group, rather than immediately taunt the other boss and take it away and risk having their horn not hit the group. So this is only if your tank wants to horn before taking the boss. So this is going to be you taunting the other boss that's going to be kited away from the group until it's time to bring it in after the first boss dies on boss 1 fight. Nothing more. So this is optional, obviously. It can be a little scary taking the boss because of the heavy attack and so on, but it's pretty fun. And we have Blockade of Storms and such for the off balance if you have Stam DPS in your group. It's a nice way to keep weakening enchant down as well. We got the Twilight Matriarch for the burst heal, and this is also going to be pretty handy due to the, the Daedric protection passive. And also the Expert Summoner passive, so it gives you more max health and more recovery in terms of health and stam. Not really huge, but the Expert Summoner is definitely nice. And more on that later, actually. We're going to have Liquid Lightning to provide the Alkosh synergy and so on. We're going to have Aggressive Horn on the Jorvold bar. That's good. Healing Springs. Empowered Ward. This is when you want to use it when you have both the Poison Injection debuff on you from the Spheres and Shocks on you. And we have Energy Orbs. You're pretty much going to be pumping out Energy Orbs until the first half of the fight is over. And then you're going to switch over to Healing Spring that purges a lot more. And we have the Twilight Matriarch here to have it active. And we have Efficient Purge. And we have Replenishing Barrier. Now, the thing about the Sorc setup for this one, I forgot to kind of go over this at the beginning. I should have. I apologize. So we have, in terms of attribute points, 58 into Magicka and 6 into health. You don't need as much into health as you would other healers like Templar healers. I usually do 10 points into health as a Templar healer in VHoF. But 6 is enough due to the Expert Summoner passive from the Daedric Summoning. You always have a pet active for the most part, and it's going to be a huge health boost. So as you can see here, we got 16.8k health without a Eben in the, near me. And after that, we almost have 18k health. With Eben, that's like over 19k health pretty easily. So yeah, that is why we don't really need as many health points into our spec as much as our healers. The only other class that can do this pretty much is the Warden due to the minor toughness granted. That's about it. So that's the boss 1 setup. And boss 2 setup is going to be fairly simple. You're going to be full damage kind of. Not really, as you'll see. So for the boss 2 setup, we're going to have a setup like this. Obviously, for console players, you're wondering, oh, how the hell can I do this? I don't have an add-on. Well, this is more for PC, unfortunately. But if you are on console and you don't want to bother, doing this very laboriously, very tediously, I suggest keeping the Bogdan, Jorvold, and IA setup constantly throughout the entire trial if you have to. This will be the most probably handy, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, boss 2 setup is going to look like this. You're going to have Slime Crawl, 2-piece, IA on the body, and we have Mother Sorrow on the front bar with a Maelstrom Lightning on the back bar with a Shotgun enchant. And it doesn't really look like a full DPS spec, but you will have 5-piece IA. And a lot of people are going to ask, why not a Silent Staff? And why 5-piece IA? Well, it's a bit more reliable. It lasts a longer duration. With this setup, I am going to be killing the Conduit crystals that spawn on the Pinnacle Factotum fight. Obviously, there will be times I cannot apply, minor vulnerability to the Pinnacle Factotum when it's, in shade form. So IA is actually a bit more reliable in that case. And bar-wise, we're going to have Crystal Frag, Force Pulse, Mage's Wrath, Twilight Matriarch for the burst heal, and it's, nice additional damage. Inner Light, Meteor on the front bar, Liquid Lightning, Channel Acceleration, Wall, Twilight Matriarch, and Elemental Drain. You'll be providing this for yourself and for any mag DPS in the group on both the Conduits and the boss and the Centurions that spawn. And we got a Horn on the back for support. Now keep in mind, you're only going to be able to use Horns a maximum of 2 times for the Pinnacle Factotum fight. Early on in the fight and in the later stages, like maybe around 30 to 40% depending on group DPS if you're score pushing. So you're going to have to use only a max of 2 and not 3, because if you core near the end, well, that's going to affect us on the trash pull up ahead for boss 3. And speaking of boss 3, our setup is going to be like this. And for boss 3, including the trash preceding boss 3, we're going to have Slime Crawl 2-piece, and we're going to have 5-piece Mother Sorrow. And 3-piece, we got 5-piece Spell Strategist on the front bar, and we have Maelstrom Lightning on the back bar. We're still trying to provide as a support DPS / healer, off balance to Stam DPS in the group. Now, why I said don't ult near the end of the Pinnacle Factotum fight is because it's going to be kind of hard getting your ultimate up for the big trash pull. If you're pushing for a score and you want as many points as possible, your group will be pulling both sides of the boss tree trash on the left and on the right. A tank most likely will be going to the right alone and dragging all these spiders, and you'll be preserving the suppression field ultimate for the second half of the trash pull coming from the right side. A lot of you who watch my stream noticed this, and it's pretty damn good to use on the spiders, especially when they're charging up. It stuns them, it keeps them in place, along with the time stops going out or the talons going out. It's really, really useful, and you do not want to not have it. You need to have this. It's very, very important that you have this. Can prevent deaths, can, you know, it's really nice to have. On boss 3, if you're going for a Pylon 2 burn, this is a setup, obviously. You have Crystal Frag, Forest Pulse, Mage's Wrath. We got Scamp, and the Scamp is actually pretty nice for the pre-boss 3 trash as well. It actually stuns them on the last cast, and that's actually pretty damn helpful in the massive trash we're going to have as a group. Inner Light, and we have Suppression Field. Obviously, after the reuse negate on the second half of the trash, we won't have any ultimate up, but no worries. Liquid Lightning, Channel Acceleration, Wall, Scamp, Elemental Drain. If you don't, I feel like you don't really need Elemental Drain if you're going for a Pylon 2, whether you have mag DPS or not. But I guess just to be safe, you'll want the Major Breach, just in case maybe the tank gets stunned or something by the ads when they're bringing them in. Sure, why not? But if otherwise, if you don't think you need it, you can put Empowered Ward in here with Meteor on the back bar. And instead of Destro ulti, we're going to have Meteor, because it's a cheaper ulti. Only costs 170, and you'll definitely have the Meteor up by Pylon 2, where you cast it as a boss falls down, and you should be able to get a Pylon 2 burn, provided the rest of your group DPS is doing well. And we're going to switch back to the boss 1 setup here for trash up ahead. The only thing that's going to change after boss 3 are the bar setups. I like to do this right here. Elemental Drain, Ball of Lightning, whether it's streak or not, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, for the trash. Blockade of Storms, Twilight, Lightning, Healing Springs, Combat Prayer, Orbs, Matriarch, and Boundless Storm. Now, the streak / Ball of Lightning is really, really nice due to the Major Expedition, or rather the retreating maneuvers change they did as of the Wrathstone patch. It no longer gives you immunity to snares and so on. So those electrical lines and tethers that sporadically spawn in and out in the Halls of Fabrication hallways, it's really annoying, especially as a healer, especially as a non-stamina DPS that, you know, you don't have access to shuffle, obviously. So you will want something else, like Ball of Lightning, and you won't get tethered, you won't get snared, your Magicka won't run out. It's pretty damn nice to have, and this is your pretty much generic trash setup. Boundless Storm for your Major Expedition just in case, Major Resolve and Major Ward. Not too bad. Horn on the back bar, or the front bar, and Storm Metro on the back bar. And until you are done with the trash up to boss 4, you'll switch to this setup here. It's a peculiar setup, but it's how our group does it. If your group does it otherwise, it's fine, but this is how we did it. Here we're going to have 2-piece Light Sentinel, and I'll explain why, because we're going to have 2-piece Ebon on the body, which means we'll need 5-piece Light and 2-piece Heavy. We'll have 3-piece Ebon Jewelry transmuted to Arcane, with Master Rico enchantments, and we're going to have 5-piece IA on the Resto staff bar, and the Black Rose Perfected Lightning staff from earlier on the Destro staff bar. So skill wise, it's going to look something like this. So you will have both pets active. You'll have the Volatile Familiar and the Twilight Matriarch at the same time. The Twilight Matriarch is just here for the burst heal on the tanks if they need it during a pull-in of Boss 4 triplets, the Refabrication Committee. And the Scamp is here for the AoE damage it does to the ads and the pull-ins. Same for the Shock Ring here. And again, just like Boss 2, you're kind of leaning a lot more towards the DPS side. There's nothing really to heal through. Except maybe, you know, a few purges when people get hit by the fulminates from the reducer when he's being brought in, or if he's being pointed to a bad direction. But that's pretty much it. The only thing you're going to be doing is keeping up the Scamp, the Wall, the Liquid Lightning, and sending out orbs to proc the Sentinel two-piece, and to also give resources back to the rest of your raid team. And that's pretty much it. The key here is you're gonna be using. You should have your Destro ulti up, depending on how your group does it, I guess, or wants you to do it. At the start of the fight, in the middle of the fight, and at the near the end of the fight. So you'll have a total of 3 Destro ultis for roughly a 3-minute to 3-minute 30 fight. And you'll cast it at the start, ideally, and before the second pull-in of the triplets, and as they get stunned for the last time for execute. So that's pretty much it. You really do a horn here at all. 3 horns is usually enough for a group to rotate through. And that's pretty much it. Pretty simple. When they get pulled in, just put wall down, liquid lightning on the reclaimer, and you just spam shock ring with the scamp going off, and if you need to, purge. That's pretty much it. Very simple, very basic, not really hard at all. And of course you keep up IA on Reducer and Reactor when they're being focused, and Reclaimer when people are going for ads with dots down the middle. That is pretty much it, and you make sure Eben is active near everyone. For the pre-boss 5 trash and boss 5 itself, we're going to actually go back to boss 1 setup again. For the trash, you can do Sentinel or Bogdan, doesn't really matter. It's up to you. I'm just lazy and just constantly use Bogdan instead of switching to Sentinel for trash. Depends on if you have Stam DPS in your group or not. And for the boss 5 trash, we're going to have actually 2 different bar setups depending on what your group does. If your group is doing bow builds on AG, which is a sort of a trend on both NA and EU, you're going to have this bar setup, Shadow Slow to provide the synergies for the bow DPS, and everything else is pretty self-explanatory. You can also have a Destro ulti to use on the first 3 terminal phases, as bow lacks a little bit more. Well, actually it doesn't lack less cleave, but it's nice to have just in case for the ads as people are sniping the terminal and making sure their endless hail is down and so on. If you are not doing bow builds as a group on the final boss, this will be your setup. And we're going to have Elemental Drain. You're going to be on the right platform instead of down in the trench. This is kind of optional, but I like it because, you know, when you're going for score, you obviously want to go as fast as possible. So getting to the right platform, getting ready for the start of the fight is pretty important. And also, it's pretty important to go up the ramp and get in position in time for the firearm. So it's pretty nice to have. Otherwise, you can rely on Boundless Storm. Major Expedition. And that is pretty much it. You just keep up IA and you're done. So for the first 3 terminal phases, you're gonna put down Greater Storm Macro, and this will provide Major Berserk to some other DPS in the group. And on the last trench phase, right before execute, you want to hold on to your horn, and then horn when the Assembly General finally reaches the middle and starts bombarding people for execute. Your horn will not reach your group if they are in melee range of the Assembly General, so that's why most people use Atro as a sword healer there or something else. If they're a Warden healer or something, or Destro ult, doesn't really matter. But yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. These are my complete entire setups for Veteran Halls of Fabrication score pushing as a sword healer / DPS hybrid. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. Just a quick review. Stats are gonna look like this. The Thief, Vampire is optional. I prefer Stage 3 Vamp, Clockwork Citrus Fillet, and that's pretty much it. Yep. And I will see you guys next time. Oh, one more thing. Make sure your damage jewelry is infused, as that's pretty important in this patch, and most likely the patches in the near future. But yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you guys so much for the support so far. And until next time, have a great time and stay safe and have a great adventure.